Hello. If your skin looks like this video is for you. Welcome to the last video you'll ever have to watch about this awful skin issue, and I'm sorry that you're here because it means you're dealing with a wildly uncomfortable and infuriating problem. My skin looked like this 10 years of going to dermatologists, them, giving me corticosteroids, ketoconazole, just stuff that obviously, masks the issue and doesn't really get to the root of it. I've spent just an unbelievable amount of time doing my own research because I couldn't continue to live like this. I know how much it affects your life. That's why you're listening to a random dude you don't even know talk about this. In my beard, burning all of the sides of my nose, my forehead, my scalp was unbelievably messed up from it, inflamed, flaking all over the place. And after years and years of research and trial and error, I finally put the pieces together of what does work and keeps it at bay. So let's get into it. What is seborrheic dermatitis? 3 things. Overgrowth of yeast, malastasia, which I'm sure you've heard. That's what most dermatologists treat. Second, inflammation, chronic inflammation. Third, barrier dysfunction and damage. I took a drug called Accutane when I was younger. It was for acne. And once I came off it, that's when I started suffering unbelievably from seborrheic dermatitis and like 2 other skin issues, but the seborrheic dermatitis was the most problematic one that affected my life the most. When you take Accutane, which I'm sure some of you have if you're listening to this, what it does is it basically shuts off the oil production in your skin. It alters the way your skin, it just changes the entire environment of your skin. It affects skin cell turnover, it affects the oil production, and the entire delicate ecosystem that exists in your skin is completely thrown off. And it makes it unbelievably sensitive to certain things in your diet, to environmental factors, and for things to grow on it, like yeast, that are not supposed to. So, there's a lot of information I'm about to give you. I'm trying to figure out the best way to package it. If I don't talk about some things that you have questions about, leave them in the comments. I will make another video. What I believe are the most important things to know when getting into this journey are, here's the problem with the way dermatologists treat it. The ketoconazole treats the yeast. The corticosteroids treat the inflammation. If you only treat one of these things at a time and not all 3, the cycle will continue forever. And when you put ketoconazole on your face or corticosteroids on your face, yes, it alleviates the yeast and the inflammation temporarily. Once you come off those things, they come right back. But what it also does is further disrupts the barrier of your skin. It thins your skin out, it dries it out, and it makes the environment even more vulnerable to more reactions. So, straight up, don't take those things. Don't use them. They have their time and their place if you're really like in bad shape. I think they just kick the can down the road. What you need to do is repair the way your skin functions. The cycle that everybody gets involved in is they have a flare-up, they attack the hell out of it in hopes to clear it up, and then they get rid of some of the redness and the yeast, but then the barrier is still destroyed, so it comes right back. Here's what you need to do in order to start a journey that will repair your barrier and make it a non-livable place for these issues to continue to come up. Stop overwashing your face. I wash my face maybe twice a week. I rinse it off every day. I take a shower. I take 2 showers every day. But I don't put product on my face, especially if I'm not having any type of flare-up. If I'm having a flare-up, scalp, beard, or face, I will use a dandruff shampoo. I will use a gentle cleanser like squalene cleanser, and I will use a gentle antifungal like azelaic acid. But if my skin looks like the way it looks right now, all I do is barrier support. I want to help assist my skin's environment to get back to where it was before I took that drug or before it was disrupted by whatever thing you did or took to get to this place. You need humectants, you need lipids, and you need to make sure you're not using products that feed the yeast. That's the problem. When you give up on dermatology and then you move into the homeopathic side of things, what happens is a lot of these people recommend yeast-feeding oils, coconut oil. I remember the first time I tried that. I woke up, it looked like, my face looked like the surface of the North Pole. It was unbelievable. Tea tree oil, same thing. Tallow. I know tallow works. People, I have a TikTok where I talk about this stuff as well. And now I'm trying to make a long-form video where I can get more information into it. And not many, but some people will hit me up and be like, tallow worked wonders for me. And I'm not here to say it didn't or won't. I personally believe you probably didn't have seborrheic dermatitis. You had some other issue that tallow may have solved. Or, like everything else in this world, things are nuanced. People are individuals. It's going to take some experimentation based on your self and what your life is like and your environment is like and all these other factors. But I'm sharing with you what I believe to be like the pillars of what will get you to a good place, and then the other ancillary accessory things that will take you over the top to waking up feeling like your skin, like when you were a kid, where the first thing you think about, like I remember, I literally every day I would wake up and the first thing I think about was how uncomfortable my skin is. How bad does this look? Am I going to be embarrassed going to see other people? I would just get in the shower immediately because that's the only thing that would make my skin feel loose and calm. And then, 30 minutes after you get out of the shower, it's back to being tight. So don't overwash, number one. Number two, hot water on your face is a big problem because it leads to transepidermal water loss. Okay, and your skin is already dry and compromised, and the lipids are all screwed. They evaporate when you use hot water. You can take a hot shower. I'm not here to say you cannot take a hot shower. I know everybody would turn this video off if I said that. Take a hot shower. But when it's time to do your face, turn it down a little bit. Make it, I would say, lukewarm to maybe borderline cold. I don't mind the cold. I think it feels good on my face, to be honest. So I'll turn it down for my face. I'll rinse it off. I'll rub it a little bit with my clean hands. And then I'll go back to hot, and I'll enjoy, my hot shower for the remainder of the period. Now, a lot of people who have been dealing with this for a long time have chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation leads to a thing called mast cell activation in the body. It wants to fight the inflammation, but leads to more sensitivity and the inability for the barrier to repair. So, this is where supplementation comes into play. There's a supplement called quercetin phytosome that helps with mast cell stabilization. That is one of the top supplements I recommend to sort of get your internal components that are leading to this external problem to calm down. Another thing that happens is you become more sensitive to histamine. So a low histamine diet can help lower systemic inflammation as well. It won't help alone. When I first started doing, I'm a lunatic and I can go wildly strict with dietary things. And so I did it. And I did like a non-histamine existent meal plan for a while. And it for sure led to improvement, but it isn't the cure-all. But you don't have to eat a completely low histamine diet in order to get the benefits. I think you can just avoid extremely high histamine containing foods and get the same type of benefits. And this is going to sound counterproductive to probably what a lot of you have heard. And what I heard initially too. I heard, all right, the gut is where all this originates when you first get into the homeopathic stuff. The gut is what you got to repair. Fermented foods, the probiotics, all this stuff. is going to help repair your gut, and it'll lead to a lower inflammatory looking face. And what I then learned is that fermented foods, aged foods, wine, cheese, sauerkraut, kimchi, lead to they're the most reactive foods for me personally. Like, I don't drink alcohol anymore because I know that when I do, the next day I'm going to wake up looking like, a leper. It's so obvious. It's hard to tell. You have to be really, really self-aware and dialed in to understand what foods are doing what. But with alcohol, for me specifically, it's so abundantly obvious and apparent that when I drink that, my skin reacts. And that's because it is a fermented product with unbelievable histamine elevation. And sauerkraut is the same thing. Yogurts are the same thing. So you gotta chill with fermented foods. Leftovers also contain a lot of histamine inside of them. Anything that sits on the shelf for a while, canned foods, prepackaged, pre-cooked things, it's not great. You want to eat fresh food and you want to avoid fermented, aged products. Okay, that's the diet side. Slight addressing of supplementation, the quercetin phytosome, I highly recommend. A real quality fish oil because it's one of the best supplements at lowering inflammation all across the body. These things, like, you can put some of this together yourself if you have a knowledge of health and wellness, or if you just want to get all your information from me. This is why I'm doing this. The amount of just time I've lost in my life doing all this research, I want to do this so that other people can avoid having dealt with that. I use Rosita's cod liver oil. Boy, does it not taste good. It tastes bad. Unless you're like a fish aficionado, you're probably going to struggle with this. I do take the liquid. It's just what I have. I muscle through it. I'll pound it, and then I'll eat, a pear like immediately after, an apple immediately, just to wash it down. It's getting more tolerable as I go, but you can take the pills. They make a pill form. That I'm sure that's easier. Zinc is a supplement that I used quite often, which is great for inflammation as well. And I would say those are probably the supplements I will list as the most beneficial. You can get deeper into the weeds if you want. We're not going to go there right now. That's it for supplementation. So if you're let's assume you're watching this and you're in a flare-up phase. What you want to do is, for 3 days max, use a zinc-based sort of dandruff shampoo, if it's on your scalp or your beard even. If it's on your face, you want to use a thin layer of an antifungal like azelaic acid, and then barrier repair immediately after that, which is something like Havana cream moisturizing cream. And then once it returns to calm, this is the problem. A lot of people, they get everything to go away, it gets calm, and then they stop doing their thing, or they start putting other experimental stuff on their face. Once it gets to calm, then you maintain. You don't antifungal every day. You don't zinc every day. You don't do things that'll destroy your barrier or thin your barrier out. You do things that will help build it back up. So every day you want to do barrier repair, such as you come out of the shower, you pat your face dry. You don't dry completely. You leave it a little bit moist coming out of your cold-ish shower, and you immediately apply the barrier repair cream like Havana cream or a multi-peptide from The Ordinary. You put that on your face while still damp. It allows it to penetrate. It retains the moisture on your skin, and it allows your barrier to slowly repair and remain in a phase that isn't beneficial to the yeast and inflammation to return. So My morning routine, I wake up, I get in the shower, I rinse, I come out, I apply my barrier support. Day goes on, I shower again before bed, I come out, pat dry, barrier support. That is what my skin routine looks like every day. It's that simple. If my skin starts to become very oily, which it will if you're not washing all the oils off, even in a face that doesn't produce much oil, if you stop washing, it starts sort of being able to re-regulate itself. And once you get to a point where it's like, okay, I clearly need a wash, then I'll go in the shower, I'll gently wash with a squalene cleanser that's not really like the least stripping cleanser you could possibly be using. Then I'll get out and I'll apply my barrier support again immediately and let it live. And rather than rubbing it in aggressively, what I do is you pat it in. You sort of push it into your skin. Less is more. You want to give your skin a chance to figure out how to normalize itself. Reduce the transepidermal water loss, calm nerve reactivity, and restore lipid balance. If you continue to wash your face all of the time, you'll never let your skin find its state of equilibrium. And you're constantly putting it back into a state of vulnerability for the yeast and inflammation. So now with this system, you have the ability to alleviate yeast if it shows up with azelaic acid. You have the ability to keep the inflammation in your body limited and low via supplementation with fish oil and quercetin phytosome. You're keeping the skin moist by not drenching it in hot water and antifungals on the daily. And you're applying humectant and ceramides and lipids that are beneficial to the recovery of your skin barrier without feeding the yeast. Now, all three things are being covered simultaneously, which over time will lead to the correction of your skin's environment. Another thing I'll just throw in there, I don't know if it's necessary. It gives me comfort. I may be more of a non-toxic adherent person than most. I eat very organic. I eat very clean. I only use, clean products. I don't mess with parabens. I don't really drink out of plastic. I do all of this because it leads to a lower inflammatory response in my body, I believe, which leads to clearer skin. But I also put a shower filter on my shower. It's a non-negotiable for me. I just think the presence of chlorine and contaminants in the tap water, although it may not be terrible per se, might be doing some damage that's easily avoidable. I hope that was understandable. I hope I wasn't too all over the place. I don't know. I'm going to continue making these. I'm sure I'll get better at organizing my thoughts. And if I'm answering specific questions, that'll certainly be easier. So drop a comment below. I also spent a ton of time putting together like a 15-page ebook that outlines my morning routine, my nighttime routine, my diet, my grocery shopping, all the products I use. So if you're interested in that, I'll link that below. Like this video so that it can get in the algorithm and make its way to people who are suffering with this and need to see this. I promise you, if you give this a chance, your skin it's gonna clear up, man. I thought there was zero hope for me. Every day of my life was frustrating and filled with just embarrassment, insecurity, pain, and discomfort. And I'm on the other side of it, and it feels really good. And I hope that these videos will help some people dealing with a similar issue. Have a great day, everybody. Good luck. You got this. Bye.